Warm greetings, everyone. On behalf of W4W Foundation, a think tank instituted as Citizens Collective, we welcome you to another session of Wednesdays for Water. The conversation today is part of Biodiversity Series, and the session is called named as Managing Indian Biodiversity in the Changing Landscapes. Biodiversity is among the longest series alongside Lake Pond series, Riverscape series, which we have been running in our more than 400 sessions we have conducted so far. Besides, we are also having pollution series, nature-based solution series, and water anxiety series, just to name a few. So what we try to do is we cluster different themes, and we try to have sessions once a month on these themes to make some sense out of having a kind of a book or some kind of compilation of these themes. We are almost ready with our Riverscape series book. Hopefully we will be able to soon release it in 2026. So what we do out of these sessions is we write actually essays after the sessions. So before we get into all these details and nitty-gritty of Wednesdays for Water, the idea of Wednesdays for Water is to engage in conversation with water experts, grassroots practitioners, policymakers, and youth to explore the complex intertwined issues associated with water and the possible solutions they are working upon or seeking for. With the success of Wednesdays for Water, we have expanded it to have more activities like Friday Water's Thesis Club, Reading Club, Water Talkies, Water Arts, and we do Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution of women in the water sector. These are all online sessions. However, we also engage extensively on on-site water workshops, water walks and talks, seminars, special courses, conference panels, water festivals to continue the water conversation in various possible ways. At W4W, we strongly believe water conversation is the only way to water conservation. Do visit our website www.w4w.in for more details. This is Mansibal Bhargav from the House of W4W, and I'm also the host for today, but I will also invite our come back to Dr. Ranjitsinh Devkar, who is the discussant for the session today, but also taking charge for the session as he has actually organized this session for us. Thank you so much, Ranjit, to really take out time and think about coming back to our session again, which also tells us that you really enjoyed it. And let me tell all of you, we have reached 400 plus sessions because of people like Dr. Ranjitsinh Devkar who come back again with more speakers to us. We have touched more than 600 speakers and more than 10,000 participants have attended our sessions. So now coming to the session today, we have Dr. Govindhaswamy Umapathy and Yash Dabholkar as our speakers. And before I hand it over to Ranjit, I would like to also introduce him and then request him to take charge of the session. Dr. Ranjitsinh Devkar is a geologist with a passion for studying ecological process and anthropogenic impacts in changing landscapes. He obtained his PhD in zoology from MSU Baroda with specialization in avian reproductive biology and endocrinology. With a couple of stints in government sector and brief duration overseas, he is currently serving as Senior Assistant Professor at the Department of Zoology of MSU Baroda. And with over 220 years of teaching and research experience, he is teaching wildlife biology and other research interests, includes mammals and chiropteran ecology. Of course, needless to say, many publications, many participations in conferences, reports. I keep it short because it is his session and I request you to take charge of the session, Ranjit. Thank you so much once again. Over to you and please take care.
Thank you, Mansi, for the introduction. Hello all, good evening and welcome to the session. It's indeed my pleasure to initiate this particular session and to talk about a very burning issue that everyone today is talking in the world, that the landscapes across the globe are changing very fast. This includes the landscape not only within the towns and the cities, but in the periphery, in the non-forested areas very close to the forest, as well as because it is mandated that we have to traverse through the forest, even in the forested areas, highways and roads are being built, which will be fragmenting the habitats. Now today we have got two illustrious speakers. I will be introducing them one by one. To begin with, I'll just make my point and get the session kick-started. I will share my slides. Yeah. So is my slide see?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So for people who are very passionate about wildlife and its conservation and about biodiversity, but have not undergone a formal training in biodiversity, more details will be given by Yash as well as Umapathy. I will just give you the ABCs and I will tell about a very small case study that we have initiated here in Baroda, where I come from. These are the two pictures, and I'm sure the people would love the picture which is there on the right and which says that which shows lots of flamingos. But which of the two depicts rich biodiversity? Now, if you see the picture on the right, which is of the flamingos, the numbers are more, but on the left, you see a lot of variety. So whenever we say a variety means that this particular area is diverse, hence it is rich in the biological diversity. With this, I want to tell you about the river that passes through the Vadodara in Gujarat. It is called as the Vishwamitri River. And right now, Vishwamitri is in a lot of discussion because recently the National Green Tribunal said that there will not be any riverfront built. And there is a major division when it comes to the public opinion, whether a riverfront should be there or not. I here want to make a point related to biodiversity and the changing landscape. You can see the marked area is called as the riparian area, where the fishes are found in water, but in the riparian area, which is the water soil interface, you will get lots of these organisms like the frogs, the snakes, reptiles, turtles, etc. Lots of insects and spiders. So this the managing the riparian habitat involves a composite strategy. Needless to say that yes, the heronries that are built along the riverside. Here is an actual Google image which shows zone 1, 2, and 3 of the riparian area, and you can also see the road which is passing by very close to the Vishwamitri River and the sort of an intrusion into the riparian habitat, which is the which are the constructed buildings. Vishwamitri is known for its crocodiles, and it has got a breeding population of crocodiles. And I will soon tell you why am I talking about the crocodile over here. Besides the crocodiles, there are several documented organisms like the soft-shell turtle, the cobra, viper, rat snake, sand boa, the Bengal monitor, so on and so forth. All of these have been documented over here, and there are published reports. Some 50 odd published research papers is what I have in my repository. Vishwamitri is a young meandering river, so obviously there will be floodplains, oxbows, and seasonal lakes that are seasonal and perennial lakes, which become a part of the Vishwamitri riverine ecosystem. Any modification in the form of, say, debris dumping or any other type of solid waste dumping, it modifies the landscape. Now, what happens in that case? In such a case, the landscape has to be corrected, rejuvenated, and this is what is being initiated recently. You can see series of JCBs, they are digging this river, and they are trying to remove the debris that has been dumped over the last 20, 30, 40 years. What I want to tell you here is crocodile. These are the pictures of that. What I want to tell you is crocodile is a champion when it comes to surviving in modified landscapes, and even with the all such modifications, it has been able to survive, but the overall biodiversity has gone down. Let's hope, and keeping fingers crossed, that a human intervention will be helping in improving the biodiversity of the Vishwamitri River. Certainly, riverfront is not a good idea. With these words, I would like to first invite, I'll stop sharing first. Yeah. With these words, I would like to invite the first guest on today's evening, a good friend of mine, Dr. Govindhaswamy Umapathy. He is a senior scientist at LACONS, which is the Center for Cell and Molecular Biology, or CCMB. He was the pioneer and one of the key members in starting LACONS. He's a senior scientist and has got a long, illustrious publication record. His specialization is in wildlife biology. After doing his bachelor's and master's, he did his PhD in wildlife biology and chose wildlife endocrinology as his line of research. He is one of the very few, or probably I can, if I dare to say, the only person who is doing extensive research in the field of monitoring the stress in wild animals. So, stress endocrinology and Umapathy are synonymous when it comes to India. He has worked with diverse animals and fantastic landscapes, which includes the biodiversity hotspots also in India. So Dr. Umapathy has got long list of illustrious publications in the nature, cell, science, and the list is endless. So I don't want to take much time, and straight away, Uma, the stage, it's all yours. Show is yours, please. Can you share your PowerPoint? Over to you.
Yeah.
And request to speak a bit louder so that you're audible. So you can have about 12 minutes, and then we can request Yash to talk, and then we can have the question and answers at the end. Thank you.
You can see my slide.
Yes, we can see your slide. Yes.
Okay. Just hold on. I'll keep away this one. Yeah. So thank you very much for a very detailed introduction, and thank you very much for the organization W4Water that brings to here and talk will know introduction about the wildlife and biodiversity conservation. And I'm happy about discussion about this particular area, which is not many people discuss in online nowadays. Thank you about that. And I'll be today giving 3 example how biodiversity suffering with reference to various factors, including modification of landscape, which is just now Dr. Ranjit was mentioning to you. You know, if you look at what is the biodiversity? Biodiversity, people always think that it is actually number of species, but also if you go in detail, it's variety and variability from alleles to community level. Means even within variation in allele level, gene level to maximum of community level is a variation, and between among actually. So it's like not only number of species but also variation in gene level and from gene level to community level. So that's why biodiversity defined in very technical terms basically. And today I'll talk about how biodiversity present globally. You can see major biodiversity areas basically is actually you can find them basically tropical areas where it has almost 7% of land area, but more than 50% of species present here. Other major area one can find biodiversity is about marine system, where you can actually find the most of the species, almost 28 of 33 animal phyla you can find them. Third major area you can find biodiversity, especially in plant species, is Mediterranean basin. These 3 major areas one can find biodiversity globally, very rich in small areas.
Dr. Umapathy, sorry to interrupt, but your voice is very low for even recording and hearing.
I'm not able you're not able to hear me?
We hear you, but it is very low, and we are not even now seeing you. So your video is also off.
No problem. Now voice is now. What about now?
Now your voice is better than before.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll keep my mic very close to my mouth and try to,
yes.
There's some issue
Thank
in
you.
that. Yeah. So I was telling you how biodiversity present globally. I'm not able to move. Next slide. Yeah. India also one of the major biodiversity hotspot area among the many in the global, and it's called mega diverse country. Although we have 2.4% of the world land area, but we have more than 7 to 8% of all recorded species, and over 45,000 species, plant species, and 91 species of animals we can find them in India. It also considered four mega biodiverse area in India, which is essentially Himalayas, Western Ghats, Northeast and Nicobar Islands are called actually mega global biodiversity hotspot in India. Overall, we have almost forest cover 21.05%, but mostly which is actually declared forest, but at least 10 to 18% are majorly very good forest cover. I'll give a brief introduction to about Western Ghats, one of the most highly found endemic species. It covers only 5% of area of India, but land cover, but more than 30% of species of Indian species found here. So that means you remember 5 to 10%, 5 to 10 times you can say more species present here. And across all the species, from whether it is plants, mammals, and reptile, amphibians, number of species endemism is very, very high. So 72% of all the fish freshwater, 73% of amphibians also found here only, nowhere else in the world. It's also called one of the 10 hottest biodiversity hotspots in the world. Means among the top 10 in the world, this is also one of the very, very such a wonderful forests have been basically when British colonizers came and they found that this wonderful forest not useful, they thought they started reforestation, started building dams and construction, settlement, plantation, roads, and almost continued almost 50 years. After independence, the forests have also been converted to agricultural lands and monoculture, plantation, coffee, tea, rubber, oil palm, teak. There are so many activities happen that leads to severe forest loss and fragmentation. Following it up, human settlement, mining, dam, although construction of dams and roads and land use practice also change. And almost apart from that, we have almost 50 million people live in the hotspot, one of the highest in hotspot. This contributed substantial loss of forest fragmentation throughout the entire range. Look at the Western Ghats from Surat to Kanyakumari here. And during 1920 to 2013, we have lost 35% of the forest cover due to, as I mentioned previously, from plantation to road construction, all the human habitation. We lost so much forest cover and led almost you can say 30% evergreen forest, 24% of deciduous forest, and 8% deciduous forest also we lost during this process of loss of forest and fragmentation. Today we have only less than 20% of original forest cover, which remains very pristine stage, and only few places you can find 200 kilometer long forest. Only 4 places you can find. Remaining places are bitten pieces. And number of forest patches also increased over a period of time. And in fact, you can say severely fragmented. Once it has continuous forest patches, it becomes severely fragmented. What happens if fragmentation? If you have severe fragmentation, there are many things going to happen. Most of the extinctions happen due to forest fragmentation. IUCN says that 50% of species threatened because of forest fragmentation. Once forest is fragmented, there is so many cascading effect. Isolated population, small populations are prone to demographic, environmental, all kind of further issues that led to local extinction. This is short term, whereas long term it has other issues, conflict, disease, parasite, pathogen invading, man, cattle, domestic animal going to the forest patches and mixing with all those biological parasite which between cattle to animal, animal to cattle. Then it's go on that both short term and long term will going to affect the species. So we choose to study Anamala Hills, where once one of the finest rainforest you can find, but following severe logging, tea coffee plantation left with forest patches. We studied how the impact of these forest patches and fragmentation have impact on wild animals, especially for arboreal mammals. I looked at them, and because it's a look like very ideal place where you have forest patches which are 2 hectare to 2000 hectare, which isolation from 60 hectare to 140 no 60 years to 140 years, so that we know different isolation level, degree of isolation, also forest patches sizes. We can study how forest fragmentation influence this species, survival of this species. And we looked at only 5 species, although I will not go detail, but we came up with information where Lentil macaque, one of the most affected species among all the 5 species which is studied: lentil macaque, Nilgiri langur, Malabar giant squirrel, small travangur, and large brown flying squirrel. We studied their presence of cell, the demography, their density, the population. All those detailed study, we came up with the lentil macaque, one of the most affected species because of the two reasons. This species is also very specialized in niche, and also frugivore species lives in particular undisturbed area. When this forests are disturbed, this species is most affected, unlike other species which are also there. So this was our one of the indicative of how the fragmentation influences. Then we went on to study how these forest fragments, forest changes of landscape which influence their physiology and reproduction of man animal. For that, we studied non-invasive method of studying their physiological status with reference to stress level, reproductive fitness. Animal undergo various problems in a modified landscape. One such study we carried out in central India, where Bandhavgarh and Kanha Tiger Reserve, where after Saris Khan, Panna Tiger Reserve, tigers gone extinct. There was data which is required for how this what makes this species gone extinct. We want to study the details, information, how the tourism impacted their survival. For that, actually, we looked at their reproductive and stress level by collecting fecal samples, data related to anthropogenic disturbance, all those information including genetic identity, male, female, during reproductive season, as well as uh, as well as tourism season, to identify how this influencing their stress level of the animal. In fact, we came to know that very surprising to us that almost more than 2,40,000 people visited this Bandhavgarh Kanha Tiger Reserve during 9-month period. That is October to actually June month, and almost 51,000 vehicles visited two places. In fact, so many vehicles, each vehicle spent morning to evening, especially morning 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, the morning, afternoon 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So much vehicle in there. This place is actually really a lot of disturbance. This vehicle disturbance, do the people visited have influence of the stress level? That was our question. We looked at their stress level by studying fecal glucocorticoid. That was indicator of or marker of stress level animals. The two tiger reserve, Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve, Kanha Tiger Reserve, male and female, we found, in fact, tourism time, we found they are significantly stressed compared to non-tourism time. Both places, that shows that it's not just random, but it's in fact the pattern which where the lot of visitation by tourist people have significant influence on the physiological stress level. In fact, increased stress level of the tigers which are present in these places. That was our major study. And we also came to know that the more number of vehicle visited, the more stress levels we found these places. More vehicle means almost above anything 30 to 40 number of vehicle per day. This forest area have significantly influenced the stress level of the tigers, which is the present nearby areas. That shows that how many vehicle can go, how often go, all those information. Anyway, management take up this issue. This as brought to the knowledge of NTCA, and Wildlife India director was also there that time when I was personally there. So this is to surprise to us that we have made many recommendations how many vehicles to go, duration of visit, breeding season, all those information we recommended to the NTCA so that they can take it further up there. Other study which I studied about how the stress level with reference to modified landscape. This is on about elephants, Asian elephant in human-dominated landscape called Anamala Hills in Western Ghats, where we believe that elephants are visiting us, but in fact we have constructed our houses and human habitation in the in fact the forest area where elephants regularly used to come for hundreds of years, but we occupied now elephants are visiting us. When elephants are visiting, their regular route, we chase them away, and they use all kind of crackers, firecracker, all those things. And this is one of the area where called Walpara Plateau, where there are a lot of frequent conflict between human and animal. There are every year few people were killed by elephant, and both the way it is happening. There are issues of altercation, other things happening. So we want to study how elephant visiting human place will have any significant impact on elephant health, especially the stress level. Some elephants are very habituated to be with human. Some elephants are actually, they are not very annoyed, and people also get annoyed when elephants are there in their place where they chase them. They use all kind of cracker. Elephants are very agitated. They try to attack. All kind of information you can see them in this landscape. But when you started chasing them using uh, all kind of materials, including firecracker, throwing stone, all those things, we want to study how the elephant behave, especially stress response to the such drives. It's called drives. When elephant come to your place, you basically drive them away from human habitation. That makes them animal to move away. We looked at their stress level. In fact, we found animals which are very much stressed. The cows and subadults are more stressed compared to adults, and some juveniles they don't much, but mostly we found they are very much stressed. What is shows the both studies that so far wherever the human presence is there, there is always animals are stressed, especially when you have interaction which always have a stressful. Another study which we carried out similar to that is Sariskat Tiger Reserve, where we found the humans persons significantly influenced their stress level. In fact, the stress level influenced actually the reproductive fitness of tigers. What I want so is here that we only look at the presence of the animal, but we don't look at their stress level. We don't look at their health and their physiological status of animal. That is a lot more important than actually merely saving the species from the location. With this, I'll stop. I'll take a question if you want. If you look at the species, number of species getting extinct, more and more species getting extinction. 2000, you see 3,500 species, whereas you find 2010 there are 6,000 species. Now 2021 9,000 species. We do a lot of conservation effort, but more and more species fall in the category of extinction risk. With this, I just leave my talk, and is any question I can answer. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Umapathy,
Yeah.
for a fantastic journey across the India's landscape and showing all the problems and the key species, the so-called flagship species in India and the associated problems. We will be taking questions at the end after Yash has completed. So now I introduce Yash Dabholkar. Now this, if Umapathy is considered as young, then Yash is still a baby in the field of wildlife research. Yash is an alumni of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. After graduating from here, he specialized in wildlife biology. The credit that he carried from here is a publication in an international journal, reputed international journal, on the diurnal behavior of mongoose, which he could publish out of his master's dissertation thesis. And the good thing is that that particular paper is quoted in the Wikipedia page of the Indian mongoose. You can see it in the bibliography, Devkar and Dabholkar, because he worked under my guidance. Later on, Yash moved to the Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, and after being in a couple of projects in the northern and central India, he is right now currently with the M Stripes, which is the famed part of the project, wing of the Project Tiger. He has extensively worked with the tiger conservation and the various aspects of Project Tiger. And Yash has had adequate amount of experience by now to comment and to talk about tiger conservation. And it was Mansi's idea, thank you Mansi, to bring a young, to infuse young blood as well. So we have a right blend of the experience and youth in today's panel. So Yash, with this introduction, it's over to you. You can share your presentation, restrict yourself to about 10 to 12 minutes, and then we can have questions first with Dr. Umapathy and then with you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful introduction. I will be sharing my presentation right now. Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and namaskar. I'm Yash Dabholkar. As Devkar sir so wonderfully introduced me, I'm working in Wildlife Institute of India since last 5 years. I joined under Dr. Bilal Habib in a project called as a long-term study on tigers, their co-predators and their prey in Vidarbha landscape of Maharashtra. And currently, after that, I went to M-Stripes, where I'm currently posted. What we are doing right now is extremely amazing. We are in middle of the starting phase of All India Tiger Estimation 2026, which is done every 4 years since inception. And I will be talking about conservation of specifically about tigers as well as other species as well. Right. First off, let me get right off the bat with this, that India has lost more than 18,000 hectares of forests alone in 2024. That is primary forest. So primary forests and secondary forests, that's two different sort of forests. Secondary forest is more buffer area based. For the well-versed, I would like to tell that buffer area is something that surrounds a primary forest, and it is a bit of disturbed habitat where we tend to separate between the civilization and the forest. So primary forests are of critical importance to habitat. And if we delve more into the data, from 2019 to 2024, more than 1 lakh hectares of humid primary forest has been lost. More than 1/3 of wetlands have disappeared since 1940. And one reason of that is also that a majority of birds are being lost due to such things as well. Now, major drivers of this thing are cultivation, mining, and infrastructure development. Although I would like to tell that doing these things like cultivation, which is farming, mining, infrastructure development, and other things, are seeded in all in good conscience. But that is why it is all the more important that we need to maintain an ecological balance where we can have development as well as conservation of ecological realm. Great. So due to this, we are experiencing extreme shift of landscape change in a lot of forests, but primarily tiger landscapes. So tiger landscapes are important because India is a species conservation specific country. We wish to protect a species wherever the individuals are roaming. So if the individuals are also out of the protected areas, India has laws that will enable their conservation and their protection. Different countries like South Africa, Tanzania, some African countries, United States of America, for example, they have landscape-based conservation policies wherein they have vast swaths of conservation forests, and they can range up to 30,000 square kilometers in land area. So such big areas are extensively protected, but once the animal strays, howsoever important, outside the protected areas, it is not under the protection. So India being such a different landscape with no fenced forests, we are on the verge of experiencing a major landscape change should we continue forging our way the way we have been. Let me give an example of Satpura Mica landscape that lost 78% of forests to farmlands. Mining is one thing, but road and railway constructions are also fragmenting habitats. I would like to point out that fragmentation and habitat loss are two different things. And both of these things require different intervention methods. If you have consider an area which is 100 square kilometer spread apart, if let's say half of it, 50 square kilometers, were to be cut off all at once, the rest of the 50 square kilometers that is totally together will have less impact rather than 50 square kilometers of area cut off sparsely in 100 square kilometers area. What will happen in fragmentation is it's even more insidious, as in fragmentation will lead to isolation of species, it will lead to isolation of their breeding, and will in due course may lead to breeding depression. So this is one amazing example of how fragmentation can occur. When we shift from a two-lane highway to a four-lane highway, that highway almost becomes an impregnable fortress, which the animals cannot transfer themselves from one part to another. Imagine a tiger crossing an extremely busy highway that is of four-lane. Trucks, buses, cars, motorbikes, everything going on, and the tiger won't be able to do it. The tiger being more of a nocturnal species, it's even more difficult for it, as going in the night, you must have experienced that you tend to speed up. This also happens with rest of the people who are driving on the highways, which results in majorly in loss of life for the animals that are crossing. This is one really good map that I would like to show of Brahmapuri Tiger Reserve, which is adjoining Tiger Reserve to Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve. So Tadoba Andhari being one of the major and one of the most prestigious tiger landscapes in India, has plenty of prey to sustain a relatively large number of tiger population. But what happens if the tigers really get comfortable? They will reproduce a lot, and their spillover population will go into nearby forested areas. For example, Brahmapuri. Brahmapuri has a large number of villages, which you can see as itself. And these all villages are relatively nicely connected by a really good network of roads and railways. So what happens is this gives an impression of a shattered glass sort of a forest, where there are isolated patches of forests, and the tigers, the animals, other animals as well, ungulates, take for example cheetal, they are found in extremely low density. But tigers who are spilled over from Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve are forced to live off not just on cheetal but also on livestock, escalating man-animal conflict. So that's why when we have extreme fragmentation in our landscape, we are now quite aware, and we are now focusing extensively on corridors. So what are corridors? Corridors are those critical pathways that connect between two large swaths of forests. Take, for example, Pench Milghat, Pench, Madhya Pradesh to Kana, and others, as pointed on the map. These corridors are of critical importance, and now our government as well as governing bodies such as NTCA are heavily focusing on such corridors. What this will enable is for tigers or predators or prey from one patch of land, that is one patch of forest, to go to a different patch of forest without being targeted by poachers, without being at risk of their own lives. And this in turn will enable in genetic diversity that tends to happen, and that has been happening historically. We have here some data that says that 70% of connectivity areas that are of priority are under village administration pressure to clear for highways, for roadways and railways. Mining is one more important factor that is leading to a bit of habitat loss. And mind you, whenever I say habitat loss, biodiversity loss goes hand in hand. Without habitat, there is no biodiversity that can be sustained. And green hills of forests being turned into mines, which is necessary, which is extremely important for our benefit and our survival. And as a nation, we need to invest more in that. But that is why it is extremely important to take care of ecological balance that is there in the landscape. Take example of Aravalli ranges. Like you all must be aware that Supreme Court has said that anything below 100 meters could be demolished and could be given out to mining efforts. Now what happens is this Aravalli range is extremely old. It is older than every one of us put together. It is older than the dinosaurs themselves. This range, in fact, is 2.5 to 3.5 billion years old. You heard me right, billion, not million. So these hills are extremely eroded. Most of them are less than 100 meters. And what results in this is that it is a critical wildlife corridor because it ranges from Delhi in north, almost up till Delhi in north, and till Ahmedabad in Gujarat. So what this happens is these green patches of forests, this green landscape enables a large number of predators as well as prey to move effortlessly from one place to another. So how do we mitigate this? You will be asking, yes, but this is all good, well and done. But I would really like to reach from Delhi to Dehradun in less than 6 hours. Well, you're completely right. Delhi to Dehradun is now 3.5 hours away. And that is all thanks to a project that started in Painch on National Highway 44. That was our first elevated land, or as we like to call it, underpasses. So underpasses are those structures that after great effort and research have come to life. Came to life in Painch, and it was done by my boss right now, Dr. Bilal Habib, and his team. I myself monitored these underpasses for well over 2 years when I was posted in Painch. And let me tell you one thing: underpasses work. Underpasses work like magic. For first 2 years, I think there was a bit of tardiness that whether animals will be habituated to this or not. Because mind you, there is a very big national highway that is running above their heads. This highway in particular, NH44, connects Kanyakumari to Kashmir. So you might as well imagine what kind of traffic goes through it. But our camera traps, which we placed in 9 different locations, 9 different underpasses, that is, in varying numbers. So 2 of the underpasses were 750 meters long, while rest of them were smaller. We placed underpasses on each and every pillar, as you can see, and these underpasses revealed a variety of data. They revealed tigers crossing, they revealed leopards crossing, and more recently, they revealed cubs crossing with their mothers. They revealed gores, sloth bears, civets, you name it. If your species is in that area, it is definitely using the underpass. Granted, it took time. It took well over 3 to 4 years for animals to get used to this. But with effort, we are definitely there. Now, why is tiger? I'm like a lot of time during this entire presentation. I'm going off tiger, 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 tiger. Why tiger? A lot of people will agree with me, especially those who are in research, that if you want to study a species different than tigers or leopards or something that is less charismatic, for example, funds nahi milte. So tigers are the fund stealers in our wildlife research, and rightly so, because since I told you, India is a species-specific has a species-specific conservation policy. So wherever tigers are found, that landscape is protected. Those animals, the species of butterflies, dragonflies, birds, reptiles, amphibians, everyone found inside a tiger landscape, they are protected. And we would really like to protect them by protecting one single species. That khitab that this tiger has got is the umbrella species. Because of one of its protection status, the entire landscape is getting protected just like that. Now, India is also blessed with the tiger population. We have almost 60 to 70% of world's population, and tiger itself is an apex predator. Those who have seen tigers in wild, not zoos, in wild will definitely agree with me that it's a marvel to see tiger in the wild. The grace that which it walks, and if you see it in hunting, then that's all the more lucky. But it is not just about viewing it. Just like Dr. Umapathy here rightly mentioned that tigers and tourism, they do go hand in hand, but that may result in wildlife stress due to over tourism. Now, since I have notched up on Tiger, I might as just well go on Project Tiger. So Project Tiger is India's flagship conservation project. We are also in Guinness Book of World Records for the most number of camera traps used, for the maximum area covered in one single survey. And this goes long way back. So, Dr. Salim Ali, as you may as well recognize in the center, is responsible for putting the idea of conservation in then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, who subsequently launched Project Tiger in 1972. The photo on your right-hand side top is of the first committee meeting that was seated to convene the Project Tiger. And the one man in right-hand side corner is Kailash Shankla, also fondly called as the Tiger Man of India, who is seen here with his beloved tiger. So, how has India done? How has India fared so far? So, up until 2008, before we introduced camera trap-based surveys, we were actually facing quite a loss. There was Sariska, which faced total extinction of tigers. There was Panna, which also followed the suit. But since 2008, I would like to remind you that we have bounced back quite a bit. We are at a plateau phase where we have 6% of per annum increase in tiger population. So from 2008, in which we had 1411 tigers, we have now jumped to almost 4,000 tigers in 2022, and who knows what this 2026 survey will reveal. So our way forward to protect biodiversity is extremely simple. Of course, it takes a lot of manpower, a lot of bureaucracy, and a lot of mental strength to do this when you are actually at the helm. First, we would like to strengthen the protection of core areas, make sure that primary forests are lost less or not lost at all, because these forests takes years to regenerate and restore themselves. Secondly, we would like it extremely very much, because since roads and railways and connectivity for us as humans is also very important, just as it is for wildlife, we would very much like to see one thing happening, that is increase of underpasses, increase of overpasses, not just for railways, but also for roadways. We would also think about restoration of connectivity areas, which is extremely important because genetic diversity and genetic inflow and outflow from one place to another is extremely important. It is as important as conserving one huge swath of land itself. And lastly, we need to balance development with our conservation goals. What I mean by this is whenever you see government hearing that we need development or we need something, they are completely right, because we need it. We are a developing nation. We are quite a young nation as compared, but we are also extremely biodiverse nation. we are not only biodiverse in our flora and fauna, but we are also biodiverse in our native communities, the population that depends on these forests, or that depend on wetlands, that depend on rivers, and those who live in or around critical areas. We need to protect as much as possible before we are all out of options, because conservation is a shared responsibility. It is not my entire thing, or it is not your entire thing to do. It is a shared thing. We need to do this together, or we will suffer. So I'd like to thank my institute, Wildlife Institute of India, as well as the National Tiger Conservation Authority, from whose open source data I have taken a lot of figures. And all the things that I have taken out are from open source, meaning that these the reports and everything are always available on these two websites of WI as well as NTCA, and you are always happy to check out.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Very well said, Yash. Thank you very much. And with this, we thank both the guests. And now I open the question answers session. And as it was already told by Mansi in the beginning, that this is not merely a monologue, but this particular session, this W for W, is known for its two-way conversations. So please feel free to frame your questions and put it in the chat box. I will open the chat box one by one. I will read out the questions. You have to clearly address the question to the speaker, either Dr. Umapathy, myself, or Yash, whosoever. And sorry. To begin with, I will start the question answers first to Dr. Umapathy. Be prepared, because these are really tough questions. Okay. Dr. Uma, you've made a fantastic. You showed us it was a virtual journey through the entire Indian subcontinent, and you are monitoring the stress. My worry is that what is the fate of biodiversity in the non-protected areas, which Yash referred to as the secondary forest, or maybe even the ones which are reserve forests?
Yeah, but there are some awareness now coming up that even non-protected are also very important, as he mentioned, including as part of corridor between two protected areas. And now government actually so importance to this non-protected areas as a important areas for conservation, as it makes us a buffer for between two protected areas. One thing that not much study is happening in non-protected areas because of reason that importance, basically because there may not be much animal individual species present there. But this also, when now no more people use as a only national park or tiger reserve or any sanctuary as a protected area, but also now landscape conservation, as you mentioned, especially tigers and all moves a lot. It hardly use most of the places outside. I mean, like especially
So you mean to say that as the tigers will be using the corridors and will be venturing into the less protected or non-protected areas, they will be taken under the conservation strategies and will be declared as a protected area. Excellent.
So they don't declare actually protected, but the people are there now different designation, like no there is a community conservation region they have.
Yes.
That kind of small area, that kind of thing is there nowadays. Yeah.
My second question is linked to the community conservation. Can you tell us something about Northeast? Because it's a biodiversity hotspot. And how do you look at it when it comes to conservation of biodiversity there?
But in fact, they are under very stressful condition. The biodiversity itself very under stressed due to so much development activity, so many unregulated hunting, and these people have a little bit of the privilege to have some wild animal as something for meat and other thing. These are all there. But there are effort now been given to the Northeast to preserve the species by declaring more and more areas. A lot of research is happening. Recently, you remember they declared as Amur Falcon area as a sanctuary when they were moving. Although the people used to hunt, this animal when they come to migration here. So there are, although it is very rich, one of the biodiversity hotspot area, but there are effort being made now to save the species also nowadays.
Uh, well, going back to the Western Ghats,
Yeah.
tell us something about what do you think? What is the status of the frogs or Sicilians in southern India?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
This is called understudied species. Okay, Sicilian almost hardly a few people work on Sicilians because there are not very visible in the land, and frogs almost a lot of effort been made now. You remember every year there are 5 to 10 species discovered in Western Ghats, and most of them endemic to Western Ghats. And there are efforts now people are making to discover species, more and more is happening. But as you know, frogs are also prone to kind of pollution. There is a pesticides. Now there is a chitin fungus, which Karthik, my colleague, is working on. These are things also invading to the no disturbed forest areas, especially frogs and Sicilians. They are under no 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 they are getting exposed to this kind of activities
very
now.
frog as species are very enigmatic. Where
Yeah,
do they go? What? How do they spend their life? I mean, we rarely come
yeah,
to know about them.
yeah.
Uh, uh, the Himalayas are witnessing tremendous boost in tourism, and
Yeah.
also there are lots of development activities and human settlements taking place. Your opinion as a wildlife biologist, do you think the fragile habitat of Himalayas will be and the biodiversity there will be able to bear the brunt?
Not you remember there are so many floods, so many damage in dam with the heavy rainfall, sudden rainfall, cloudburst, all those things we are hearing frequently every year, and landslide all happening because of we have actually didn't give much importance to Himalayas. So this as simple as if you would have protected this place, there are many more such a disaster can be actually prevented. At least 4 5 recent years, and that actually we are not giving much importance. Now government started giving importance to Himalayas. There are mission to Himalayan wildlife habitats. There's national mission of Himalayas. They are recently initiated where people are exploring this kind of very sensitive areas of Himalayas.
So, Dr. Uma, you have also been one of the in the panels and all as the advisor to the government bodies. So, if you take a pan-India approach, what should be, say, one single, if you have to name one, what can be a policy shift in policy that the government can employ, which will help fauna, flora, and overall biodiversity?
I think completely stop any encroaching protect areas. First and for every year, as just now Yash was saying, some um, some 14,000 hectare have been. These are pristine forest. So 1 hectare forest, huge. We have no value for forest. So we need to completely stop encroaching any. Iromar Aravali now is happening there. These are all need to be completely stopped. No more encroachment to the any forest area. As simple as.
Okay. So, thank you, Dr. Uma.
Yeah.
There's one question in the chat box from Mr. Arun Dabir. He says, Dr. Umapathy, in the West Coast map, the belt in Maharashtra looks quite green. Please comment.
Yeah, of course, it's green. In fact, coast of Maharashtra region is a very green. Although it's not very dense forest, but it is a open forest. It's a green. Where there is a recently Maharashtra, Northern Maharashtra, there is a Lentil macaque sanctuary has been now under threat due to construction of a dam now. So that green also will be going very soon.
Uh, Thank you once again. Dr. Uma will agree to my closing statement that everything that looks green is also not good. Even brown is good. Even barren is good. All are natural habitats.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now if you ask me, deserts turning green as a zoologist, I will say is a matter of concern. It's not a good thing. Yash, over to you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Here
sir.
are the questions. I will set the ball rolling and then I'll open the chat box for the questions to be asked to you. Yes, India has done well when it comes to the tiger conservation and NTC, and we saw these wonderful slides that you've shown. And thank you for doing good work for tiger conservation. But my question is, do we have enough big forests to accommodate increase in the tiger population?
That's actually a really good question, and I actually just got a bit of goosebumps because last time you asked me such mind and thought-provoking questions were during our dissertation viva. So it's quite a nostalgic thing for me. And yes, regarding your question, we are having forests that, if supplemented properly with prey, can be a really good habitat for tigers that we can translocate from one place to another. We have forests in Gujarat, like southern Gujarat, for example, where there is news about one tiger roam straying from MP to Gujarat, and that's actually a great news. But if we provide enough of prey ways in those areas, then those such areas, such forests, can become a really good habitat for tigers. Tigers and leopards, I feel, are quite adaptable species because I personally have seen leopards stalking and killing and eating frogs. So, but tigers do require a lot of space to roam. 50 to 100 square kilometer per individual male, depending on the availability of prey. But then we have extremely tiger density rich areas like Orang, where a large population is being sustained in a very small place due to a lot of prey. So such forests are extremely useful, and yes, we will hit the plateau in some coming years, where then we will need to think of what to do with such a large population.
Here, I also want to ask one more question, which is related. Dr. Uma talked about the tourism and its pressure, its stress on the tiger, and how has he monitored them and documented them.
Yeah.
Whereas late Sri Valmik Thapar used to think otherwise. He used to say that, well, the tiger kind of get used to and habituated, and they are in fact curious to see the safari vehicle, and it comes up to the people. What is your stand when it comes to tiger and tourism?
Sir, well, my stand actually will align with Dr. Umapathy. And that is based a bit on scientific evidence, which we have gotten since a few years. Although we only have around 10-15% of our forest area open for tourism, it is affecting individual tigers whose territories fall in those areas. And yes, we need to research more on the stress factors and how we can optimally use those places for tourism, because tourism by and far is one of the major sources of funding for tiger reserves, be that Corbett, be that Tadoba, or be that a small tiger reserve like Bor or Ranipur. So we need.
I will slightly shift the discussion from focus from too much of focus on tiger. What about the government's policy in tiger conservation? Can they have a more inclusive policy where the focus is not overtly on tigers, but has got a more inclusive approach, in terms of conserving biodiversity?
Yes, definitely. While I would really like to apologize because I have used a lot of tiger in my presentation today, but fact of the matter remains that tiger is one of the best resource pooler, and using those resources, we are like the government is currently utilizing those resources for researching and safeguarding more on rest of the biodiversity, be that birds or be that small, like Dr. Umapathy said, Sicilians and frogs.
So, what new should be done by the government as a change in policy? As I jokingly say that India's GDP is increasing, but people are still poor. So India's tiger numbers are increasing, but the biodiversity is still not doing well. So what do you think? What should be the shift in policy?
Again, quite a thought-provoking question, but I would actually like to say that utilizing forested areas the way we are doing right now can be modified a bit, as in buffer areas should be given a really good priority to stay as buffer, and not let them become core, or not let them to be degraded altogether. So this is just a small suggestion, but what this will affect in long term is that it will make sure that tigers who are straying out from core towards the buffer will not get directly in contact with the locals, as well as they will stay in the core in the buffer, not thinking that it has become core, and get too comfortable around that place.
Very heartening to see there are several MSU alumni in those who have joined today's discussion, and happy to share that those are also doing very well in different sectors across India. Some of them working on Tanisha was just there. She's working on Asiatic lion. She was working on Asiatic lion. Now she shifted to the Great Indian Bustard project, and many others are there. Okay, finally, Yash, what do you think about this 100 meters in Aravalis? Because you had one slide on Aravalis. Do you really think that it's been trending for a while now? Why 100? Why not 50? Why not 200? Why not 20? I mean, how and who has arrived onto this 100 meters? And because you know a thing or two about policymakers, so please share.
So believe me, we are also just as dumbfounded as everyone else. Even in my lab, even in Tiger Cell at WI, we have been talking about this, and we have no idea where this 100-meter actually came from. But from what I can see, like from all the protests that are going on, and we too are doing some silent protests of sorts, this may not come to an actual I would say dismantling of Aravalis. The Aravalis will probably, I'm 99% sure they will stay intact, and no harm would come to them.
Thank you. There is one question in the chat box for you, Yash. Yash, can you tell about the actual plans for underpass for wildlife?
So it's an interesting question. So underpass, what ideally it should be that entire road to be elevated, but that requires immense amounts of budget, and that sort of is a very wishful thinking. But what we have, what has happened in Painch, or what even has happened right now in the Dehradun Delhi Expressway, is that by doing some research, we have identified pinch points where you can actually elevate the road or elevate the surroundings, and create an overpass. Those pinch points are the ones where wildlife uses maximum wildlife uses those areas to cross the road. So by elevating them or creating overpasses, what we are doing essentially is that we are guiding them to go towards the pinch point and then cross safely from there.
Well, again, there's this question on how about 20 to 30 meters for Aravali. I think Yash has already answered that question. So there are no further questions in the chat box. So thank you to both the guests, Dr. G. Umapathy and Yash Dabholkar. And Mansi, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Ranjit, for this wonderful organizing the session. And I'm really intrigued to get you more often to host the session. I was happily listening to both of you. I have very simple two questions to both of you. And it is still time for all the participants to please unmute yourself and start your video, and you can interact with all of us at this moment in time as well. Two important and very simple, naive question as someone who does not come from the biodiversity background. First important lesson for me, habitat loss, of course, is indeed biodiversity loss. And I'm learning from you, Ranjit, that biodiversity has to be discussed in biodiversity way and not species way. So what we have been doing in biodiversity series is we take up one species and we work around it and discuss around it for an hour. And what Yash presented today, and it made me very clear that India does its restoration or conservation based on species. And when I look at Europe and America, and you also mentioned that examples, they work based, their protection and conservation is based on landscapes. I mean, this is something fundamentally different, which you presented here. So, I mean, I would like to ask you, I mean, from getting example from Yellowstone restoration, which was a species, you can say incubation kind of situation or introduction, but to restore the entire landscape. And here we are talking about if we save a tiger, the whole landscape will be saved. Sorry to say this, but as a naive citizen, I don't understand the direct relation how one species can save the entire forest. Vis-a-vis, I am more convinced and I understand it much better that you conserve the entire landscape and there will be some species. Because I always fear, like human beings have grown so much in number, we have cattle so much in number, we have pigeons so much in number, we have chickens so much in number. Are we imagining species by species and we just focus on them? Will that really maintain the biodiversity? I have serious doubts pending as a math student, not as a biology, zoology student. Yes.
So yeah, Mansi, your question is not far off from what we would ask. So you don't need to worry about that. What we do as conservation in India is that we do not have fences around our forests. These
Yes.
big landscapes, you said about Yellowstone, I would also say about areas in Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa,
Yes.
right? They are extremely big. The private reserves themselves are around 8,000 to 10,000 square kilometers, whereas our biggest protected area is Hemis, which is not which is tiny as compared to those areas. So, but those areas are again fenced. So what they want is the entire species to stay put in that one particular area. Now, imagine in Africa, you have an entire protected area with, let's say, 600 hippos. These 600 hippos would breed and then become, let's say, 800 hippos. So that's 200 hippos more than that what the environment can sustain. Now, what policies they have for conservation is that you kill those 200 hippos so that the other 600 may survive. But in India, such a thing is not possible. If we have 1 lakh cheetal in areas where there only can be 80,000, we will definitely not kill them. Right? So
okay, so that's a fundamental difference.
that's a fundamental ideological difference.
Exactly. My question was also philosophical or ideological. I mean, I want to go back, go to Uma to ask a question based on policy, very similar to what I was asking. Yes. So, Uma, we see that since independence, the Department of Forest has been more entitled to clear the forest than to make forest. And for me, that is really worrisome. Here is a department whose role is to protect the forest. When we look at the data from independence or when the forest department was established, we see that they have cleared more forest than they have made more forest. Likewise, I have another question. So what is really the role of this forest department? Is it to give clearance to make development? And why our judiciary is pro-development, not pro-ecology? Supreme Court only uttered the word climate change just 1.5 years ago. Before that, the word did not come up. So, I mean, I'm asking you 3 questions because you are senior, you have been there. Just a moment, Ranjit. I'll close my last question also here. So, and now when we talk about the amphibians and waterborne species like crocodile and all, I'm always worried because this is a water series. The Ministry of Water Resources is way far from talking about the species of the water, and the entire onus of protecting species on land underwater is with the Ministry of Forest, and we don't have Ministry of Biodiversity. Can you help me explain this gap in our country? Because the forest is, I don't know how biodiversity naturally becomes forest in policy term, and forest becomes naturally biodiversity.
Well,
I know I'm asking, I mean, see, I'm asking like a stupid person, but that's the whole idea as a common citizen.
I will divert this question to Dr. Umapathy because he has
Yes,
been,
it's for Uma only.
yeah, he has been in many panels as an advisor or as an expert.
It is to him.
But one thing I would like to tell here, Mansi, and to all the viewers, that plantation is plantation and it is not afforestation.
Absolutely. I so much like it.
When you have cut a forest, the forest is gone.
You cannot make forest.
Doing plantation, Whatever you do, you say, well, I'm planting trees, shrubs and herbs, yet it is a monoculture, it is a triculture at best. So you are not afforesting for sure, you are just doing plantation. And there are many such 20, 30-year-old forests in India which have now grown, they are green, they have even been inhabited. But just imagine what would have been, what they would have been in their natural habitat. We don't even know which was the flora that was occupying the floor of that forest. And today we have changed the entire, like Britishers did teak plantations because they wanted teak to be taken back to Great Britain. It was their vested interest, so they removed a lot of the native forest and planted teak. Today, what teak wood trees that we see in the Gir forest, they have been planted by the Britishers. Gir was never a teak wood forest at all. Dr.
Yeah.
Umapathy, over to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the one, there are two, three clarification. One is about judiciary. I think sensitivity of judiciary also not much. Now recently there are people have very sensitive to the environment. One example, typical example I'll tell you recently in Nilgiris where the corridor
Yes.
over a lot of resorts. There's a resort, there's a human habitation recently, a small corridor which is designated as the elephant corridor. There almost 250 resorts also there. Government now, there is a case going on between private ownership and government. Another thing, recently Supreme Court ruled that all the resorts need to be demolished. The final. So almost there are judiciary that they will be taken very seriously. The corridors, very simple corridor. Elephant once in a while they move there, but they want completely removed all the human habitation and resorts there in Nilgiris, Mudumalai, that region. That is one. There are thing. There are judicially is there. Recently, people went to Andaman. There is a Great Nicobar port.
Yeah. We will have a session on Andaman Nicobar and also because it's really painful to see.
So there are balances there. Another thing, why forest department and management? You see, government is one government. There's one wing called forest department, another wing is development. So when boss is saying is closed down, he has to build a house there. This is like is a balance. But also we agree that only development also required like undeveloped countries. We need it's a balance required. Only thing is the sensitivity should be there when you make a development. There's some extent of environmental loss is there, but that need to be compensated by doing proper work and proper thing. That's only we are none of us as against in development. In fact, development is very important, like our countries. But there is balance, not one-sided. Development should not be there.
Honestly, I am no more fan of development. I will be very
Yeah.
honest on that on this public platform.
Yeah. People,
With the kind of problems we are facing.
Yeah. Like Pench Tiger, many people objected. At the end, even there's one Kasiranga, there's going on so many hit and run cases is there. Now government at last they come up with upper pass like that. So there are a lot of investment also required and sacrifice. When India always compare with the Western countries where they used all the fossil fuel, they developed, but we are not reached such a level to stop all those. Still, we are dependent on natural resources. That's the reason such a imbalance is there. That's the reason government also allows little more activity, but we should always resist whenever possible is there as a scientist and as a public personnel, and we always raise this issue wherever we are there. Yeah.
As an educator, well, I'll give my closing statement that we are greatly at fault because as educators, we have in the universities, colleges, and schools, we have not been able to inculcate the seriousness in the children that they are responsible. If you are breathing in oxygen, you should be thinking about clean air. If you drink water, you should be thinking about not polluting the water and disposing your waste judiciously. Now, all these things, my experience, Mansi, I want to share is that the kids are aware, they are concerned. It is their parents who have, which is a complete generation, they do not take the sessions on ecology and environment seriously. They say, well, after all, the marks are not counted in the grand total. So you can obviously skip it.
Yeah. Anyway, these conversations can keep on going. Actually, in every biodiversity session, I have asked this question, which I asked Uma, and I'm going to ask it again. Why Ministry of Environment has and Forest is taking charge of biodiversity, and why India is still not thinking of having a Ministry of Biodiversity, and why Ministry of Water is not concerned about the species in the water resources. Why is like this? I mean, why ask this question, and I have asked this question in every session to every speaker of Biodiversity Series, because the thing is that the species get lost and everything. Even if we want to conserve forests, it is for humans. So we have this Anthropocene angle to save forest. We have this Anthropocene angle to save water bodies. But then forest and water bodies are not only for humans to go and see tiger dance or a lion dance. Why can't forest be for the forest? Why can't we have places in the country where humans cannot even walk in? Just like we don't want animals to walk in the city. Why can't we think like that? And what kind of people sit in the policy room when they don't talk like this? I'm sure people are not like me, because I will scream if they don't discuss like this. That's why I am not there. Why are these discussions not happening? Because if a country has so much a footprint of urban sprawl, which is more than now nearly 50%, if we can calculate all village areas as well, why can't we leave areas where humans don't need to go? It's a philosophical question. Uma.
Yeah, but I agree with your sentiment.
I get surprised when biodiversity experts also say that we need
No,
development. So then I'm more
no,
convinced.
I'm saying the government view. I'm not saying my view. My view is different, entirely different. Uh,
Of course, your statement.
typical example is that clean Ganga. You all know, last 20 years we tried to clean Ganga. Almost
Yeah.
40 to 60,000 crore rupees spent so far. I think still I don't find Ganga clean. Maybe the Yash may can tell more about that. This is the way it is. Although government have effort to do, but there are still ways to go, and there are many things to be achieved. So, but the government is need to be little cautious about, and Yash and other people are there. WA know that how many projects they will see such a development activities. They'll do all impact assessment, how the report goes, how the other things, many things are there. I can't talk in public as a government servant. So this all need to be taken care while there is a development activities are there. That's what I can tell. Yeah.
Okay,
I
we
would
can
like
keep
to
on
add.
talking about these things, but I definitely get an idea that we must have a session on human-animal conflict where it can be biodiversity. Yes, yes, you want to have
Yes,
something?
I would like to add to Dr. Umapathy. Since I'm at WI since last 5 years, I've had many friends, and a lot of these people are actually working in projects like River Dolphin, in projects that account for macrovertebrates. One of my juniors and a student of Dr. Devkar, Meghavi Purohit, she's actually working on macroinvertebrates that are found in fast flowing rivers. So just to warp my head around what is a macroinvertebrate, I had to listen to her talk for next 20 minutes. So there is research happening. There is a lot of conservation that is happening, but the pace of it is slow.
Yeah.
At WI, we have even launched a specialized master's course for MSc in freshwater ecology. So the thing for water is happening. We have a Ganga project right here in WI. We have NRCD. We are strengthening communities that live along the banks of rivers and who are, quite really good with their traditional arts. So we give them a platform to sell their goods at through WI, and such things do keep on happening. But you're saying that why don't we have forest patches where even we can't go?
Believe me, I would love to see those patches, but then again, I will have to go. But such patches are a vulnerability, because if humans are not going, say, let's say forest staff, forest department staff, or researchers, or somebody to monitor what is happening in there.
Oh, they should go, not for tourism.
Yeah,
Not
for
for
tourism, definitely. Just if you talk about tourism, I'm pretty sure that Dr. Umapathy has much better data than me. But I think it's only 10 to 15% of a protected area that is open for tourism. Rest 80-85% area only forest department staff and researchers and scientists go sometime.
Okay, we can keep talking because these are very interesting topics, and I hope Aravali gets saved because I think the question from Arun Dabir was more sarcastic to get into 20 to 30 meters than really a question. And I'm really looking forward to having a session on human-animal conflict, because we keep talking about saving forests, but we end up cutting the forest. I don't know how that happens. And of course, I do talk about this more as a when we talk about ecofeminism and all. Most of the time, all men are sitting and talking about it. And I want to also acknowledge it in today's session. Usually, we are not having all men session. We try to avoid and have a gender balance session, but sometimes we cannot. But we have been very consciously doing generation balance session, which was very well acknowledged today, because it is important to hear the young minds, because they are going to take care of what we are leaving for them, and we are not leaving good situation for the younger people to take responsibility of the society as well as environment. We will continue our conversation here, but first of all, let me just say thank you to both the speakers, Umapathy and Yash, for their wonderful presentation. And definitely, Ranjit, I'm getting back to you to organize more sessions with us. Thank you so much for doing this. Before we close the session, I would like to announce that this Friday, we have a wonderful book reading session, which is on December 26th at 5 p.m. IST. And it's a very simple book written on philosophical side, and it's what are the ideas for life, and it will be actually discussed with the author speaker, Suresh Madampil. I just met him at Ahmedabad University 2 months ago. Next Wednesdays for Water, we take a short break next week, and next Wednesdays for Water is on January 7th at 5 p.m. IST 2026. We discuss Antarctica in the changing climate and insights from geochemistry and paleoclimate. And to let you know that the entire January Wednesdays for Water session is dedicated to biodiversity, because our biodiversity team at the background is very charged, because they really want to stay at the forefront of the series running at Wednesdays for Water. We will also continue Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water to acknowledge and appreciate the water endeavors. Our next Monday Munching is on January 5th, so do stay tuned with us. Do keep checking our website, www.w4w.in. Today, it was not working for some reason. We don't know. We are already getting technical assistance, but otherwise, all our sessions are open access education. And I can tell you that the amount of knowledge we have harbored in that website, on that website, can be really considered as a full institution by itself, with over 600 speakers spoken on our platform. Thank you so much, Uma, Yash, and Ranjit, for this wonderful session. And thanks a lot for all the participants for your patience and for listening to us so nicely. Your support and encouragement means a lot to us. Please take care of yourself. See you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.